Boxing's Throwdown. My name is Steve Johnson, my co-host Aurelio Martinez. After our first segment, we promised you we'd come back and delve more into this Canelo Alvarez and Triple G Gennady Golovkin fight that was held last night at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Aurelio, let's get right back at it.
Oh, I'm telling you.
Let's move to the end of the fight. And, let's just talk about that last round first. It was pretty much common knowledge that, and this is coming from my observations from Canelo's corner.
Yeah.
Just going into this 12th round, Canelo had to have a knockout. That was pretty much.
Sure it was.
But this guy still sits there and tells him, you got this, you got this. So they got the memo for somebody, B-Hop or somebody ran up there and said, hey, stop being negative. Let's make him, think he's got this fight won. So anyway, they come up, they finish the fight. First of all, it was comical, as we all see when Triple G raises his hands, of course, in victory. Canelo raises his hands. You gotta laugh at that. And then we go to the scorecards. You take it from there.
Well, we go to these scorecards, and let me just tell you what, Canelo was glad to survive, because he survived. And I want to talk about them last rounds, because a lot of people talk that Canelo came back and he fought diligently, and he fought.
Who said that?
Some of the folks that you talk about, but
here's announcers.
The announcers too. But here's my point. And this is toward these announcers. We gotten away from announcers talking and commentating about the actual fight before them, and they want to talk about everything else, but action in the fights. Okay. And that needs to be addressed. I mean, by HBO and by Showtimes and by ESPNs, they need to have these boxers start commentating on the fight at hand and stop giving their goddamn opinions. Okay, just commentate on the action that's going on. Okay, that's been gone for a long time. Okay, but anyhow, going back to the last 3 rounds. Okay, which they say Canelo so much came back effortlessly. Canelo came and he fought the first minute of every round because he was so tired that he came in, he gave it his all for first minute, and then Triple G took over for the second half of the round, even more the second half. Once he did that, okay. So going to the judges, everybody knows, fighters, trainers, everyone knows, you can steal the round in the last 10 seconds, okay. You can land a good combination in the last 10 seconds, and that's what the judges remembers, and you can win a round, because what happened in the first round, the judges don't remember. That's just common throughout the whole boxing community. That's the way it goes. Well, what happened in this fight? Okay, the whole second half of the rounds, and I'm talking about 9, 10, 11, yes, where they say Canelo did so good, he was getting plummeted in the second half, holding on for dear life, because he was one punch away from being knocked out in every one of them rounds toward the end of the round. Okay, how funny how the judges don't remember the end of the round. Steve, immediately they start talking about a rematch. Exactly. I would not doubt it if they already have a date and a time and a location for a rematch. It's almost like this outcome, not by the fighters, okay, but by the promoters and the judges and everyone else and officials. This outcome was already predetermined, and I think it was actually predetermined to have Canelo win a controversial fight, but they couldn't do that, so it came out a draw, okay? So it was predetermined so that people will buy the rematch, and I'm going to tell you what, it's disgusting.
Well, let me say this about the rematch, because like you said, I agree. 2 things about a rematch. I would hope. Let me say this. The one comment from Gennady Golovkin to me was put in a nutshell. He said, and I actually have this piece that I would be putting up on my sj.insideboxing.com blog page, where Gennady Golovkin said, I'm going home to Kazakhstan with my belts. I'm still world champion. That's the bottom line, okay? But nobody's going to remember that.
Yeah.
But then let's go back. I would encourage folks, everybody knows that I'm pretty much anti-pay-per-view, but it's not going to happen. You're going to watch pay-per-view because that's where it's all gone now, okay? But I would encourage folks to, which I will do with the Hernandez family, I promise. The next big fight I will have the pay-per-view, I'll buy it. And I'll have a bunch of people at my house. If we all start having a bunch of people, instead of all different people buying group together by pay-per-view, and let's get to watch the fights, but quit giving them billions of dollars.
Shrink
let's
the
just give
numbers.
them, yeah, that's right. Shrink the numbers down, the pay-per-view numbers, and because I'm of this. If I'm Abel Sanchez, I know it won't happen because of the money, but I sure do wish that Triple G would say, you know what? I've got my belts. I'm world champion. Canelo, if you want to come and get my belt, you come to Kazakhstan. My people deserve to see me defend my belt in Kazakhstan once. I'd love to see that happen.
You know that's not going to happen.
I know, just because of the numbers, but I'm saying,
and because of Oscar, not so much the numbers. People will watch it. They'll pay for it, regardless here in the United States and the whole Mexican community. They're going to watch it. But the thing about it, whether it's in Kazakhstan or you take go back to the Thrilla in Manila or wherever you go, okay? But it won't happen because Oscar
is going to now.
He already has. You can't control the boxing game in another country. He for some reason can control it here in Vegas. Okay, he can, and it was proven last night.
Well, that's a good point too.
It was proven last night. He controls it. He controls.
Yeah.
He controls, and I should say all promoters. Bob Arum, if you're the promoter and you're bringing a big fight, then you control what happens. You control the outcome. Okay.
And I think, like you said, that's a good point. That now with Floyd being gone, Vegas is open. Vegas is wide open. You know, it used to be in Vegas. You know, all those hotels would wait on Floyd to see what he was going to do.
Yeah, and Vegas is about money.
Yeah,
they don't care less who wins, who loses, or anything.
That's right.
They're
so
about
it's a
money.
business for them, and we understand it. For us as boxing fans, this all sucks. This all really sucks. You know what? If this was a perfect world, the rematch would be on ESPN, you know, or it'd be on Premier Boxing Champions. We'd have it somewhere where we could watch it for free. Well, we know it's not going to happen, but like I said, the only way to offset that, in my opinion, is we're all going to have to get together in big groups and pay one fee, and a lot of people get to watch it and shrink the numbers for the pay-per-view.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, there's a solution, and I want to talk about my solution to this whole thing because it has to end. It's got to stop. It's been going on too long where fans are cheated and they're robbed of their money. Mm-hmm. They see a good fight, but the outcomes are always questionable. It's getting to a point where every big fight, the outcome is questionable, and someone's crying because they have valid reasons to say. I mean, never are the scorecards anywhere synchronized. They're just off the wall, and the judges are fans now, and not more than, I shouldn't say they're not even fans. They're yes officials to whoever the promoter is.
Right.
Okay. That's what they are. So in Adelaide Bay, she's
what's her name? Adelaide Bird.
Adelaide Stupid Head Bird. Okay.
Adelaide Bird.
Blind. Okay.
Blind Bird.
With her binders on, she already knew who she was going to have win because she already knew who was paying her check, who was writing the check to her, and she wants more of them checks. So she needs to keep the promoter happy, okay? And it's a shame that it has to be that way with officials, okay? So I know we're running out of time, but we're going to talk about this. Here's what has to happen. Okay, that's got to stop. For number one, okay, the promoters have to stop having any input or say to any of the officials that work the fights. Period. They just have to have no word. They can't select. The fighters can't say, hey, I want to select this referee, that referee. Nothing. The fighters, the promoters should never have anything to do with who is selected by the officials.
But really, hold on one second. That should be falling in the lap of the commission, right?
Well, it should, but that's not going to happen.
Well, wait a minute, because remember, I'm just trying to remember real quickly. There was a fight where someone, and I think it was Axeman, Nicholas Axeman Walters, mm-hmm. where somebody him or whoever was fighting demanded that Adelaide Bird not be a judge. And they had her a judge anyway, if I'm not mistaken, because they said, no, you guys can't control any of that. We're going to control it. So there's a thing going on, but not to derail you, but the bottom line on that with me is that here we have an Adelaide Bird who we know is horrible now, and Oscar De La Hoya and your Nevada State Athletic Commission guy defend her. They defend her. We know Oscar's going to defend her because that's what he wanted. But, you know, the thing is now with most of these judges, you look, last night Adelaide Bird, more than 100 world championship fights. Dave Moretti, more than 100 professional world championship fights. The other third guy, Treya, he only had 40, okay?
Right.
And he saw the fight a draw. I'm definitely against fights being a draw. You can't go down your thing. You judge your fight each round. You can't have a draw.
And that's why that was the one good thing about 15 rounds.
That's exactly
when
right.
you have an odd number. So
they could even go 13.
They should go 13.
Exactly.
They should go 13 or even drop it to 11.
Or whatever, but you can't have draws.
But when you have that odd number, you reduce greatly the possibility of a draw.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the problem with, like you say, these officials that have been in there forever, they've already become part of the system.
There you go.
They're part of the mold.
That's exactly
they're part of the
right.
mold. And that's what has to stop.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. We're extending this extension because I want to bring this out. What has to happen, okay? What has to happen, and number one, and it has to be taken out of the promoters. The promoters have to pay a fee to the commission, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that has to be including the fees for the officials,
yeah.
okay? Nowhere in that saying you're paying the fee that you have any authority or any right to select an official.
Mm-hmm.
That should fall into the hands of the boxing authority, okay? And the problem here in the United States is that there's a whole bunch of boxing authorities. Every state has their own commission, okay? So every state has their own rules. And believe it or not, for example, the Colorado Boxing Commission doesn't have to abide by anything that any other official in the union, any other commission in the union abides by, okay? Because each one is their own governing body. Legally law-abiding governing body. They are the law, each for that state. Okay, you got Colorado.
But they do interact with each other to try.
Well, they do. They do, but they don't have to.
Right.
Okay, they don't have to. As a matter of fact, if you got a boxer that's suspended in Washington, okay, if he came to fight in Colorado, Colorado doesn't have to honor that suspension.
But they do.
But they do. But they don't have to. That's
Right.
that's what I'm saying. The point is, what you need is that one entity. And when they first started talking about this many years ago, about having a federal United States boxing authority, okay, I wasn't real happy about that. And
I'm still not.
But I am now.
I'm not.
I mean, because you need to have that unified rules, because now they talk about the ABC, the Association of Boxing Commissions,
Which
that
is a joke.
basically is the web that kind of tries to keep all the rules together. Okay, so why do you have an outside entity which has no teeth, telling all these legal entities in each state how to become a union? Okay, so if you're doing this, why not just skip all that and make one union? One unit, okay, and really, it has to be done right, okay. And the people are always, and the people that fought this are the promoters. Your Oscar De La Hoyas and Bob Arams and even your small time promoters. Every promoter out there fought this because why? Because they would not have the
power.
control. They would not have the control that they have. Okay,
yeah.
So Steve, it has to happen. You have to take that power, that control away from the promoters. Okay, promoter is a business, it's a company. Okay, so you have a promoter, you're a promoter. Okay, but the legalities of boxing have to fall on one entity for the entire United States, and that has to happen to the government. As a matter of fact, I am starting a petition, and I will, and it'll be out next week on the internet, so you guys can look forward to signing this thing so that we can abolish all these state things and have the federal government put together a commission that's going to govern the boxing in the entire United States.
Okay. On that note, you have to tell me right off the top of your head, and I know let's not get in depth, but at the top of your head, who would be that person to be the head of the commission?
Well, it has to be a process, okay? I mean, obviously, it doesn't even have to be someone that's in boxing, because I know right off the bat what you're thinking. The guy that's been fighting for that job has been Teddy Atlas.
Yeah.
Okay, well, no. Teddy Atlas, it's got to be, there's got to be a process that this committee, this organization, whoever they make this entity, when they bring it to life, has to go through a process of selection. Okay, it doesn't even have to be someone in the United States. It just has to be someone to head this thing, where it's going to be put together rules, regulations, and they're going to be adhered to it.
Can I tell you why I don't think this will work?
Why?
Because I think the problem has been all along is that it will be political. It will have to be political because at some point, Bob, and you mentioned it, Bob Arum, Oscar De La Hoya, you know, the main top big promoters, they will branch out and get the smaller promoters, Kathy Duva, you know, Lou DiBella. They'll get them to come on board with them and fight whatever this commission that
without a doubt they'll fight.
They would fight it tooth and nail, okay?
Sure,
and because they want to have their input. Yeah, like you said, it's about having.
No, they want to have their control.
Yeah, and that's what
not their input. Input is different from control.
Right. Well, their input would be control because that's what they want to do. They want to be able to do their thing. It'd be so political, it would still be a joke. I don't want to see it happen. But let's see. Let's organize your petition.
It has to happen.
Something has to be done.
It has to happen, or else we are stuck with this. That's going to happen. Okay. It will be like this forever. You'll every fight on major TV or something will end up in controversy. Every one of them. Okay. Because you're going to have the Adelaide. You think Adelaide Bay's Bird?
Adelaide Bird.
You think Adelaide Bird?
You think she works at Mandalay Bay? Is that what you're thinking?
I know she works for a paycheck.
I know that too.
Okay, I know she works for a paycheck. I know where she's at right now.
At Oscar De La Hoya.
I know where she's at. She got that credit card going right now.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. But anyway, you know what? We can go on this forever. We'll continue more on this. But this third segment that we're coming up, we're going to talk about a fight that was announced last week that's going to happen. We've been talking about it, and you already know. It's Vasyl Lomachenko versus Guillermo Rigondeaux. That's going to be December the 9th, Madison Square Garden. That's a fight I can't wait for. But I'm going to tell you right now, I see the possibilities of this being along the same line of what we saw last night.
I'm going to tell you.
Both these guys are kind of dull. You know, somebody's going to have to bring the fight. Probably going to have to be Lomachenko, but we'll talk about that in just a second.
I'm going to tell you what. We're going to come back and talk in that second. Lomachenko could get knocked down 100 times and get up. He's going to win that fight. Okay?
Here we go.
Okay? He's going to win that fight. It's in the book. Okay? Lomachenko is Bob Arum's guy. He's not going to lose the fight.
Can we come back in the third segment and talk about that? All right. All right. As we do with every episode Inside Boxing Throwdown, we'll be back in a second. Refresh your coffee. That's what I'm going to do. And keep them hands up. Keep them up.
Because it's the promoters that's going to hit you in the head.